Imagine you're in a meeting and it's over, but a senior person is sitting across from you. And it's just a nice, casual conversation. And they say, "What can I do for you?" And you think, "Oh, Susie would want me to ask for feedback." And you say, "What are my blind spots and where can I improve?" And just in that moment, you changed a lot more than you realized. Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hey, welcome, friend. I'm so glad that you made the choice to be here today. This is a conversation I have regularly with people about getting feedback and from where to get feedback and how feedback is more than just getting data about you. It's also sending a message to the person in front of you. And it all is aligned to getting what you want. Because when you are able and in control to get people to think of you a certain way, and when you get from them their perspective, that is gold. It's gold. And so making the right moves, that's all about thinking like a negotiator. That's how you adopt a negotiator mindset by in those moments being aware that an easy answer, a soft answer to that question of what can I do for you, saying, "Oh, nothing, everything's great," that was a missed opportunity. But when you ask for feedback, saying, "Where can I improve?" and blind spots, wrong answer. That is not what you should ask for. When I was getting ready for this, because I talk to professionals about this all the time, I looked at the bias, and there is a bias in the way we look at things that when we're told something about somebody, that is a cognitive bias that we have against them. So when you're telling somebody, "How can I improve? What can I do different? What are my blind spots?" What you're doing is you're giving them information about you because you are telling them, "Think about all the things I've done wrong or what I don't see and tell me about it." So what you're doing is you're having them think about a situation. Even if they don't have an answer, they're going to answer what you asked. And so they want to tell you and give you some information. So they're going to, especially if they're a senior person, they're going to have to dig it up in their brain. And so now you have then seeded or you've anchored this idea about you. And you might not want them to think of you that way. You may not want them to see you that way. So there's a tweak that I want you to think about because that is really real. The other piece of asking a question like that is the fact that you have to make them relive something in their past. And that's not going to give you good feedback anyway, because we don't remember everything, especially if we're not spotting for it. So it is important to ask for feedback, but when you ask for really good feedback, you're going to get really good feedback. So let me tell you, my client, we were talking about the fact that she had worked for the company that she works for a long time. And everybody knows her very well. In fact, the CEO and all the executives know her. So we started talking about what the impression is that they have of her. And so we started talking about how can she get a different shift? Because listen, people don't live in your head. They don't always see you develop. So while when the company was smaller, people would interact with her on a regular basis and she felt very comfortable with them. But as the company grew, they didn't have as much access to seeing her day to day. So they didn't see as much. So when she met with one of the senior executives and they said, "What can I do for you?" And she asked those two questions, she said, "I would like feedback on my blind spots and what can I do better?" It was like, no, that's not the right answer. What you should do instead is get them to think toward the future. If you're caught in a situation like that, get them to think about where you can develop. So instead of saying the negative piece, say, "When you look at me and you think about the business and where we're going, what are the skills that I need to be developing right now?" That gives them a look into the future. It places you into something that they understand that they're seeing. It doesn't put them on the spot to give you very specific. And then it's kind of like PR for yourself because it's making them see you differently. It's forcing them to not look back on the person they've known for 10 years or 5 years or 2 years, but you're talking to them in the future. And so asking for that kind of feedback is an imperative. And the other piece of feedback that we need to get, and you don't just get feedback from your boss, you get feedback from everybody in the organization at different levels, not for your performance review, not for anything specific for the company, but for your own development. And when you have those conversations with senior people that don't have access to on a regular basis, but from time to time, you ask them for feedback that is very specific. You say to them, I want to develop in this way. Next time we're in a meeting together in 2 weeks, will you watch for this specifically? When you give them something to look for in you, it ignites that ability of them to look for that, but then it'll give you better feedback in the moment. And then as you're kind of cementing a future view of you in their mind. And then what happens is if they have opportunities that they see around them, that is going to be remembered because when you make people think, they remember. And so they're going to remember that piece of what they said about you. And they're going to remember that. So if they have a future view of you, you're not just going to be the one that benefits from it. You're going to be able to have them have that perspective of what future you will look like. And then they hold that. They hold that for their peers. They hold that for your boss. They hold that of you. When you say to them, tell me what I'm doing wrong. What are my blind spots? You're holding yourself. You're diluting your value. You're not letting them see you for what you want them to see you for. And for somebody that doesn't interact with you very often, that's not data that they have, but they're going to feel compelled to tell you. So let me give you a couple tips. The first one is swap the what am I doing wrong? Where are my blind spots, especially for a senior leader, with what do you see as my potential? When you think of me in the future, where would you place me? Help them see in the future, not in the past. And that gets them to look at you differently, and it allows them to see your growth and not diminishes your value. My second tip is not to just make this happenstance. Make sure it happens with intention. Think about your sphere of influence. Think about, the middle of the sphere of influence are the people you work with all the time. Then it goes out to people that you interact with occasionally. And then there's people that may know of you or you might interact with in the future. Think about who in that sphere on that outer layer you need to connect with and make that intentional. Ask them questions about how they can see you or explain to them where you're going. Help them to see you. You never know when they might be in the right place to influence something that you're doing in the future. And it increases your influence because then they see you more. They understand that. And then in those times when they could give you feedback of a very specific situation, once your worlds collide, they're more apt to be able to give that to you. And then you can ask for feedback in that moment. And the third tip is before you leave, after they give you that information, or give them the grace of saying, we could meet again and give you time to think about it, ask them how they can observe that in you in the future. Say, I really want to work on this, and it's really important for me to get your guidance and your wisdom and your great leadership. So can we plan to have you involved in something in the future so that you can see me in action and you can give me that feedback as well? Being your own advocate, showing that you are looking toward the future, understanding that you need to capitalize on every moment in every relationship is important. That's thinking like a negotiator. It's not looking at a situation and seeing it passively. Like when you go into the elevator and somebody says, how are you? The passive answer is, I'm fine. The more powerful answer is, I'm so excited. The team is very motivated. We hit our numbers, and I'm just so thrilled to be here. That says a lot about you. And getting that vision of you, it's answering those questions in the moment like somebody that has a strategy for their own career. It's so important. So here's my challenge for you. Find somebody in the next 72 hours that you're going to interact with. Somebody that does see you from time to time, but not regularly. They may know you well. And it'd be really great if they know you from a few years ago, and ask them those questions about the future. Say, when you think of me, what is a stretch goal that you can see for me in my role and beyond that? Force them to show you a vision of you in the future, an expanded view, and ask them the question that forces them to think broadly, think big, and help you think big too. I'm so glad that you made the choice to be here today. This is such an important topic. It's framing it very carefully too, and not taking the passive approach. It's so important. Always think like a negotiator, because it's more than a skill. It's truly a mindset. Until next time, I'll see you then.